now at Pier 1, the first pier in the Inner Harbour stretch. So this pier has the most essential shape. It's just a transition between land and sea. The only function that this pier does is to control the access to boats. So out of all the piers that we're going to see, this is the one that has the least functions and the most essential building shape. So now we are at Pier 8. Pier 8 is one of the most distinctive piers in the Inner Harbour. This building sits right at the middle of the Inner Harbour, and it's a concrete building with clear influences of Modernist and Art Deco styles, and started the construction before the Second World War. Then the construction stalled during the war and was completed right after the war. And why is this so interesting is, if you can see, there's an elevated terrace that is directly connected to the street. So there's one staircase in one end of the building, another staircase in the other part, and then all of this is connected. So the first floor is all connected. This building is really a special building also in terms of the program. We have the ground floor that is very well connected with the city, and then we have the upper floor that also uses this technique to become better connected. And the building, by doing that, you will have access, you will allow different users to have shops on the upper floors. So it's quite a unique typology that we have here in the Inner Harbour. Pier 11, the pier for the firecrackers. It's made of concrete with modern and Art Deco elements, and it's a pier that fits the function that it has. So it's a transition between the city and the waterfront, and as you can see, the building is very different from the other piers that we were seeing before. So these typologies of piers that we have on the Inner Harbour, they are called ponte-cais. So it's a pier in the shape of a bridge. They are close to the city, but they are built on top of the water with stilts. So it's following the traditional typology of stilthouses from Macau, but with a new technique, in this case using concrete. So they do really this interface between city and water, and their shape, technique on which they are built, really reflects that. And each time, each different building will be adjusted to the function that it has. So it's always an interface between land and sea, but depending on the function, the architecture will change. So in this case, we have two shops on the lower part and a residence on the upper floor. So it's also very similar to some shophouse buildings that we see around Macau, where we have a commercial function on the ground and then a residential function on the upper part. This is Pier 16, built in 1948. This was the key pier for passengers coming by boat from Hong Kong to Macau. So people would land in Macau at Pier 16 and then they would walk through Saint-Malo, the key commercial street in Macau for many, many decades. So this is a very special pier, and it's located right at the intersection of Saint-Malo with the Inner Harbour, creating really an important highlight in the Inner Harbour. And now we are at Pier 30. So this is one of the most basic pier shapes in the Inner Harbour. This part is the pier, is the deck that is made of wood with wooden stilts that connects to boats. And then we have the building that is a very simple and basic structure made of concrete, connecting the deck to the city. So this is one of the most essential elements, and many other piers, they would follow in a very similar way, with a gateway in the middle, and then a building that is built around it. So it's still quite dilapidated at this moment, but it's still working as was intended originally. So this is a very, very interesting, old-fashioned building type in Macau.